Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, where we will provide you fresh insights into South Asia's geopolitical, strategic and security situation. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Pakistani leader confirms Pak army support to terror groups. US diplomatic pullback raises questions over Pakistan's security. And growing concerns over media suppression in Pakistan and occupied territories. Pakistan's long-denied terror nexus now stands exposed from within. A Pakistani political leader has openly admitted that the country's army fought for terror groups during the conflict triggered after India's Operation Sindoor. The remarks made at a Lashkar-e-Taiba-linked event in Rawalpindi have reignited scrutiny over Islamabad's state backing of terror groups operating from its soil. A report.
ये फर्स्ट टाइम ऐसा हुआ कि ये जंग अगर हमने लड़ी तो ये हाफिज सईद और मौलाना मसूद अजहर के पीछे लड़ी। दुनिया को ये बताया कि they are freedom fighters who are fighting for the liberation of their beloved homeland.
The explosive remarks came from Shahir Sialvi, chairman of Pakistan Naziriyati Party, during an event linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba in Rawalpindi. Sitting beside him was senior Lashkar commander Muzammil Hashmi, a close aide of UN designated terrorist Hafiz Saeed. Sialvi admitted that Pakistan's military not only backed terror figures like Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar, but also gave formal military honours to those killed in India's Operation Sindoor. According to him, Pakistani soldiers carried the coffins of slain terrorists in uniform, while army-appointed clerics led funeral prayers. The statement directly contradicts Islamabad's decade-old claim that terror groups operating against India are merely non-state actors.
The statements by a political personality in Pakistan, the son of a brigadier, and a party which is blessed by the establishment military, wherein he is at a function of the Lashkar-e-Taiba in Rawalpindi, and saying that, the Pakistan army shielded and went to war with India for Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar. This clearly describes what India has been saying over the past so many years, that Pakistan's excuse of non-state actors does not hold. What we are seeing in Pakistan is a fusion of extremism and the army. These two are operating together, welded together, melded together.
India launched Operation Sindoor after the deadly Pahalgam terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir that killed 26 civilians. New Delhi described it as a precision strike targeting terror infrastructure linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Among the key targets were Muridke, considered Lashkar's operational hub, and Bahawalpur, the headquarters of Masood Azhar's Jaish-e-Mohammed. Indian officials said the operation was intelligence-based and focused solely on terror camps used for cross-border attacks. What makes Sialvi's statements significant is the public acknowledgement that Pakistan's military establishment openly aligned itself with globally designated terrorists. Hafiz Saeed is the mastermind of the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, while Masood Azhar heads Jaish-e-Mohammed, responsible for multiple attacks on Indian security forces, including the Pulwama bombing. For years, Pakistan has attempted to project these outfits as independent actors, but the latest admission reinforces India's long-standing accusation that terror groups operate under state protection inside Pakistan.
7 मई को बहावलपुर के अंदर मौलाना मसूद अजहर की फैमिली के लोग, बहनें और बेटे और बच्चे रेजा रेजा हो गए।
The remarks also come amid growing evidence from terror commanders themselves. Earlier, Jaish-e-Mohammed commander Masood Ilyas Kashmiri claimed that Pakistani generals attended funerals of terrorists killed during Operation Sindoor.
His remarks not only back India's claim, they reveal to the world and to the world capitals India's claim, not only India's claim, India's statement of a fact and facts that Pakistan and its army are using radicalism, are using non-state actors for their own dual purpose of undercutting India and the progress of India.
Security analysts say these statements could weaken Pakistan's diplomatic position globally, especially as India continues to push evidence of cross-border terrorism at international platforms.
The whole world has heard Pakistan's Defence Minister Khwaja Asif admitting and confessing Pakistan's history of supporting, training and funding terrorist organizations in a recent television interview.
One state.
After the Pahalgam attack, India launched a major diplomatic outreach campaign, briefing multiple countries on the terror threat emanating from Pakistan.
India launched Operation Sindoor, targeting terrorist camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, which was focused, measured and non-escalatory in nature.
The revelations also revive uncomfortable questions for Islamabad. If these groups are not linked to the Pakistani state, why were military funerals organized for them? And why were Pakistani army personnel publicly involved in honoring individuals linked to UN-designated terror outfits? Operation Sindoor marked one of India's deepest and most coordinated counter-terror strikes across the border since 1971. The operation targeted multiple terror hubs in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and signalled a shift in India's response doctrine against cross-border terrorism. Now, nearly a year later, Pakistan's own voices appear to be confirming what New Delhi has maintained for decades, that terror networks targeting India have enjoyed institutional support from across the border. As tensions continue to shape the strategic landscape of South Asia and West Asia, questions over Pakistan's regional role, military narrative, and the long-term impact of Operation Sindoor remain at the center of geopolitical debate. To discuss these developments, we have with us Austrian aerial warfare analyst and historian Tom Cooper, who joins us with his sharp assessment on Pakistan's diplomacy, the India-Pakistan conflict a year after Pahalgam, and the larger military and political realities shaping the region. Hello, sir. Welcome to Newsweek South Asia. My first question to you is, how do you see the mediation done by Pakistan between the US and Iran? And how do you see the role of Pakistan in it?
Pakistan on one side is playing itself as a big negotiator and so on and so on. In reality, Pakistani government is appeasing Trump in exchange for favors. They're exploiting political corruption in the United States. The entire system is based on political corruption. That means it is absolutely legal to bribe through so-called lobbyists, the politicians, to administer in one or another interest. So the Pakistanis are exploiting this situation nominally with the aim of pushing the Kashmir issue, but actually without any success in this regard. So they are just buying temporary favors from Trump administration without any durable effects. Actual Pakistan's role in all of this is unimportant because of political and administrative incompetence, which is caused by armies or military forces' insistence on remaining relevant for the future of Pakistan. So this is the country is de facto a hostage of its own armed forces.
India recently marked 1 year of Pahalgam terror attack, and it's almost been 1 year when the conflict started between India and Pakistan and the launch of Operation Sindoor. How do you see that conflict a year after?
A year after, the conflict remains unresolved, and there is there is a very clear set of reasons for this. On one side, Pakistan has not managed to bring Kashmir or to make Kashmir some sort of an affair about which entire world is talking. It has spent lots of money to bolster its armed forces, but only on a temporary basis. This is through procurement of J-10s and PL-15 long-range or very long-range air-to-air missiles, but has not managed to find a durable solution or kind of force India to negotiate about Kashmir on Pakistani conditions. India, for its part, has defeated Pakistan, but has lost the control of public narrative. So there is, how shall I explain it? The conflict is, this is why the conflict remains unresolved. Pakistan remains capable of emitting or airing this story about we have defeated India, which is not true. They have actually perhaps won 1 or 2 air combats, that's at most, but lost the war.
The conflict lasted for around 10 days, and at the end, India destroyed a lot of its installations inside Pakistan, where they used to operate the fighter jets. How do you analyze the situation at the end of the conflict?
The winner is absolutely clear. I called it a clear-cut victory already the last year, and there is no reason to think any other way 1 year later. It is so that during the conflict, India has not only flown highly successful retaliation strikes on major camps of terror camps inside Pakistan, well inside Pakistan, and then terror camps on major bases which were thought or widely considered for untouchable, kind of outside of India's range, outside of India's reach. Nevertheless, India has hit them heavily, caused massive damage, killed lots of terrorists and so on, and really forced them to keep quiet, so to say. Even though in the long term, due to inner makings of Pakistani politics, Pakistani political parties have had to completely openly put themselves on the side of terrorism, declare themselves for the front of jihadism.
And so finally, what was the motive of the fake narrative which was created by Pakistan back then?
The Pakistani armed forces have to explain to the public why are they actually controlling the civilian government. Why are they so influential? Why are the Pakistani armed forces, through this so-called de-establishment, that means a mix of top military officials and their supporters in the civilian sector, why are they in control of the country? Why are they acting in complete disregard for its economy, for suffering of wider public? Why are they keeping the public in poverty while enriching themselves? And why are they sending their kids to universities and schools in the West, while at the same time supporting jihadism, breeding jihadism, literally? So in order to explain this, they're explaining, we have to, if necessary, eat grass in order to buy nuclear weapons. They're wasting billions a year for production of additional nuclear weapons, for development of additional nuclear weapons, for construction of additional nuclear facilities necessary for production of nuclear weapons. This all needs, as I said, this all needs reasoning, public narrative. That means the armed forces continue explaining themselves, we are relevant and everything, nothing else matters but the armed forces to be as powerful and as successful.
Thank you so much for giving us your time, sir. Pakistan's worsening security situation and persistent terrorist violence in its northwestern regions are drawing renewed international concern. In a significant move, the United States has decided to shut its consulate in Peshawar, citing security risks to diplomatic personnel. The closure highlights growing fears over instability in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, a region long affected by terrorism, unrest, and cross-border terrorism near Afghanistan. The decision is also being seen as another setback to Pakistan's global image amid continuing concerns over safety and counter-terrorism failures. Here's a report.
Pakistan's continuing failure to rein in terrorism and ensure security in its northwestern regions has once again come under global scrutiny following the decision to shut the US consulate in Peshawar. For years, the country has grappled with extremist violence, militant attacks, and repeated incidents targeting security forces, foreign missions, and civilians, raising serious concerns over the effectiveness of Pakistan's security and counter-terrorism framework. Regions bordering Afghanistan, particularly Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, have witnessed recurring terrorist activity and unrest, turning the area into a persistent security challenge for foreign governments and international organizations operating in Pakistan. Amid mounting security concerns, the United States announced the closure of its consulate in Peshawar, citing the safety of its diplomatic personnel. The decision marks a significant diplomatic shift in a strategically sensitive region long associated with militancy and instability. Washington said all diplomatic engagement related to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province will now be handled through the US Embassy in Islamabad. The move comes as Pakistan continues to face growing security threats, including militant attacks and violent protests targeting foreign interests, further damaging the country's international image and raising concerns over the safety of foreign personnel operating there.
यूएस कॉन्सुलेट सुनने में आया है कि सिक्योरिटी खदशात के पेश नज़र बंद किया गया है और ये है कि कॉन्सुलेट बंद होने से मेरे ख्याल में अच्छा मैसेज नहीं जा रहा, ये मैसेज अच्छा नहीं जाएगा और इससे इम्पैक्ट भी बुरा पड़ेगा। तो ये है कि यहाँ पे जो कॉन्सुलेट है उसके ज़ेर एहतमाम मुख्तलिफ़ कल्चरल एक्टिविटीज़ होती थी, एजुकेशनल एक्टिविटीज़ की जाती थी, सहाफ़ियों के लिए जो है सरगर्मियाँ की जाती थी। तो मैं तो ये समझता हूँ कि अच्छी बात नहीं है, अच्छा नहीं हुआ।
Pakistan's northwestern regions have remained vulnerable to security threats for years, with incidents of violence and unrest frequently reported near the Afghanistan border. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, including Peshawar, has witnessed repeated attacks targeting security personnel, civilians, and public infrastructure, prompting authorities to maintain heightened security measures in the area. The volatile security environment has continued to pose challenges for foreign missions and international organizations operating in sensitive regions of the country. The evolving security situation has also kept concerns alive over the safety of diplomatic personnel and foreign interests in Pakistan.
जो यूएस कॉन्सुलेट की बंदिश का फैसला पेशावर में किया गया है, तो देखिए ये तो इंटरेस्ट की बात होती है। जब तक अमेरिका की बहुत ज़्यादा स्टेक्स खुसूसी तौर पर हमारे कबायली अजला में और अफ़गानिस्तान में थे, तो उस वजह से यहाँ पर कॉन्सुलेट की उनको शायद ज़रूरत बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही थी, महसूस हो रही थी। तो इसलिए यहाँ पर एक्टिविटीज़ और यूएस कॉन्सुलेट जो है बहुत एक्टिव था। लेकिन रिसेंटली अगर देखा जाए तो जब से अफ़गानिस्तान से नेटो अफवाज का इनखला हुआ है और अमेरिकी अफवाज का इनखला हुआ है, तो अभी अमेरिकी इंटरेस्ट शायद उतना अफ़गानिस्तान में भी और कबायली अजला में भी जो है शायद ना हो, तो इसलिए उन्होंने ये बंदिश का फैसला किया है।
The closure of the consulate is expected to intensify international attention on Pakistan's security situation, especially in regions affected by violence and instability. The move reflects growing caution among foreign governments regarding the safety of diplomatic personnel in volatile areas and could influence how international missions operate in Pakistan going forward.
As the world marked Press Freedom Day this week, concerns over media censorship and shrinking democratic space in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied territories once again came under the spotlight. Activists and right groups allege that journalists continue to face intimidation, surveillance, and arbitrary detentions and pressure from Pakistan's military establishment. Reports suggest that independent voices in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan are increasingly being silenced under restrictive laws and institutional control. Here's a report.
The debate over press freedom in Pakistan has intensified once again after international watchdogs highlighted the deteriorating environment for journalists in the country. According to the latest World Press Freedom Index released by Reporters Without Borders, Pakistan remains among the lowest-ranked countries for media freedom. The watchdog has repeatedly described Pakistan as one of the world's most dangerous places for journalists, citing intimidation, legal harassment, enforced disappearances, and increasing political pressure on independent media. Rights groups allege that the Pakistani military establishment exercises overwhelming influence over the country's information ecosystem through institutions such as the Press Information Department and Inter-Services Public Relations. In Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, activists claim the situation is even more restrictive, where independent journalism is allegedly suppressed through economic pressure, threats and sedition charges.
पाकिस्तान की रैंकिंग 153 है दुनिया के 180 ममालिक में, जो कि रिपोर्टर्स विदाउट बॉर्डर, ह्यूमन राइट्स वॉच, फ्रीडम हाउस, इंटरनेशनल फेडरेशन ऑफ जर्नलिस्ट जो हैं वो इसके बारे में कह चुके हैं कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर फ्रीडम ऑफ जर्नलिज्म बिल्कुल भी मौजूद नहीं है। कल यूनाइटेड नेशन ने इस चीज़ का जिक्र किया मई 3 को कि पाकिस्तान बशमूल दुनिया के बहुत से ममालिक जो हैं वहाँ पर जर्नलिस्ट जो हैं उनको डिटेन किया जाता है, उनको टॉर्चर किया जाता है, जो कि बंद होना चाहिए। गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के अंदर अदनान रावत हैं, उनको इस पर डिटेन किया गया है, उनको टॉर्चर किया गया है क्योंकि उन्होंने मार्च में जो एहतजाज हुआ था उसके ऊपर जो मजालिम है उसके ऊपर आवाज़ उठाई। शेर नादिर शाही है, उनको काफ़ी अरसे तक जो है ना उनको कैद में रखा गया, उनको टॉर्चर किया गया, फिर उनको रिलीज़ किया गया। पाकिस्तान की जो फ़ौज है उसका मुकम्मल कब्ज़ा है जो वहाँ पर प्रेस इंफॉर्मेशन डिपार्टमेंट है उसके ऊपर, और पेमरा के नाम पर, दूसरे कवानीन के नाम पर लोगों के जो फाइनेंशियल जो इंडिपेंडेंस ऑटोनमी है उसको कंट्रोल किया जाता है, उनके इश्तिहार बंद किए जाते हैं और उनको ज़बरदस्ती जो मीडिया की जो गाइडलाइंस हैं पाकिस्तान की हुकूमत और फ़ौज की फेवर में उसको टो करने के लिए कहा जाता है, उनके ऊपर जो है प्रेशर डाला जाता है, नहीं तो उनको जो है जेल में डाला जाता है।
International rights organizations have repeatedly raised alarm over Pakistan's deteriorating media climate. Freedom House has classified Pakistan as partly free, citing growing restrictions on civil liberties and freedom of expression. Meanwhile, watchdogs have documented cases involving attacks on journalists, online censorship, abductions, and pressure on media houses. Media analysts say the dependence of several news organizations on state advertising and regulatory approvals have further weakened editorial independence in Pakistan. Activists allege that any narrative challenging Pakistan's position on Kashmir or highlighting local grievances is quickly censored or removed from public discourse. The issue has gained renewed attention after several journalists and activists from Gilgit-Baltistan reportedly faced detention and intimidation following protests and criticism of authorities.
The press is controlled totally by PID, Pakistan Information Department, which is in turn controlled by the ISPR, the military organization that is deals with the public relations of the military. And only pro-Pakistan and religious fundamentalist organizations are given space in those papers. Therefore, I think that we should strongly condemn the censorship, self-censorship that is imposed due to the threat, underlying threat of being deprived of advertisements, which is the main source of income for print media, especially in Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistani-occupied Jammu and Kashmir.
The state of press freedom in Pakistan continues to draw criticism globally. The latest assessments by international media watchdogs indicate that journalists in Pakistan face growing challenges ranging from arbitrary arrests and intimidation to digital surveillance and restrictions on reporting. Observers say the climate of fear has contributed to increasing self-censorship, particularly on issues related to the military, separatist movements, enforced disappearances, and governance in Pakistan-occupied territories. Even as Islamabad publicly claims commitment to press freedom, critics argued that the ground reality for journalists and independent media tells a very different story. As global attention turns toward freedom of expression and democratic accountability, allegations emerging from Pakistan-occupied regions continue to raise difficult questions about censorship, institutional control, and the shrinking space for independent journalism.
We want justice! We want justice!
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We'll be back next week with more news, views, and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@nin.com. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on behalf of the entire team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.